The conservatives are going to make America like Hungary. Yes. Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on martial politics. And as you can tell by opening line here, I will be talking about Tucker Carlson's visit to Hungary last week, the importance it has, and the reaction to it, and how it shows, again, what the neoliberal ruling class is really afraid of. So I made this meme last week. It got like 200 likes for some reason. It's pretty cool, but I think this just accurately portrays what's going on here because the neoliberal ruling class has really lost its mind over Tucker Carlson's visit to Hungary. You can see here America's Christian nationalists play out their cynical fantasies in Orban's Hungary. Tucker Carlson is broadcasting from Hungary because its authoritarian anti-immigrant leader has set a model for America's far right. Tucker Carlson has seen the future, and it is fascist. Orban's Hungary is the roadmap for American authoritarianism. Tucker Carlson's visit to Orban's Hungary is part of U.S. right-wing obsession. Why Tucker Carlson's trip to Budapest is bad news for America. I mean, this is like just barely scratching the surface on these articles that they've released against Tucker Carlson now because he went to Hungary to talk to the Hungarian Prime Minister. For some reason, they kept saying he's the president. I saw a mainstream media article literally doing that. Pretty funny. He's a prime minister, not president, but whatever. So Tucker Carlson talked to Viktor Orban, who's the prime minister of Hungary. And, regardless of what criticism you might have for Orban on, like, corruption or, different stuff he's done in Hungary that are, controversial, not like the LGBTQ stuff, but, other stuff, corruption, the more authoritarian part of his party, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. I know some people might, but um, anyways, people have a lot of criticisms about him, and some of them are warranted, I'd say. Others are not, and it's like what you see here in what the neoliberals are saying here. They call him a fascist. He's authoritarian, and he's just a bad guy, and that's what Joe Biden said too. In the fall of last year, I think it was a town hall on, I don't know, maybe NBC or CNN. I don't remember which network, but he had a town hall, or it was ABC. He had a town hall on there, and he said that Hungary and like Poland are like embracing authoritarian traditions. Pretty funny for Poland, by the way, and Hungary, since I mean Poland literally had a presidential election in 2020 before the U.S. had its own, so it's pretty funny. But anyways, back to Hungary. So the neoliberals have really lost their minds, and they think that they find it so insane that Tucker Carlson is like he's pointing to basic successes in another society, and they're afraid that we might see successes somewhere else. These are the same people who they're not progressives either, so they're not even the people who will point to the Scandinavian countries to see how they're successful and see how it can be implemented here. They're just the thing with the mainstream media is they're really status quo managers, and really at the end of the day, all they care about is the status quo. And I mean, like for example, I mean you see with certain policy positions like foreign policy, for example. They don't want to leave Afghanistan. They don't want to leave Iraq. They just want to keep everything the same as how it's been for the past almost 2 decades. They don't want any change. You could even say minimum wage too. It hasn't changed in decades, and they don't necessarily care to even increase it even ever so slightly. So, and healthcare too. I mean, like you can do this with every single policy or like literally anything. They want to keep everything the same because the status quo benefits them, and that's really the only thing they care about. So, um, so they're afraid that Tucker Carlson has been mentioning stuff like this, and actually, Tucker Carlson had a segment talking about Viktor Orban. I think maybe it was 2 years ago, and I don't know, it'd almost be 3 years ago. In 2018, he talked about the Hungarian family policies that they've implemented, basically giving loans to Hungarian families in order to promote population growth in Hungary, which is a notable problem as the population in Hungary is declining like dramatically. So I'll just put that segment here and then I'll come back.
Like most advanced countries, Hungary struggles with a declining birth rate. In America, for perspective, the average woman has 1.7 children. That's the lowest figure we've ever had in our history. In Hungary, the number is even lower than that, fewer than 1.5 children per family. Hungary has lost more than 500,000 people in the past 30 years. At this rate, unless something changes dramatically, there will be no more Hungarians. The neoliberals who run the European Union and every think tank in Washington strongly agree on what Hungary should do to fix the problem: give up. Instead of helping the native population to have more children, the Hungarian government, they say, should import a replacement population from the third world. That's the George Soros solution. But Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, has a different idea. Instead of abandoning Hungary's young people to the hard-edged libertarianism of Soros and the Clinton Foundation, Orban has decided to affirmatively help Hungarian families grow. Orban's government is giving young women $35,000 low-interest loans when they get married for the first time. If these women have 3 children with their husbands, the loans are forgiven completely. If they have a 4th child, they're exempt from income taxes for the rest of their lives. Hungary doesn't just have parental leave. Grandparents can take time off to help after the birth of a grandchild. Everything about these policies is a good idea. They don't just help people have the children they want to have, they encourage the creation of healthy families. The Hungarian government wants to help people get married, stay married to the same person, and remain close to their extended families. It gives the biggest rewards to middle-class families, the very group struggling most to balance career, finances, and children in the modern age. In other words, Hungary's leaders actually care about making sure their own people thrive. Instead of promising the nation's wealth to every illegal immigrant from the third world, they're using tax dollars to uplift their own people. Imagine that. Here's the least surprising part of it all. People absolutely love it. And why wouldn't they? Viktor Orban's government just won its 3rd landslide election victory in a row. The lessons are so obvious that you have to wonder, why isn't anyone trying that here?
Okay, so as you saw in that clip, Tucker Carlson mentioned the Hungarian family policy of basically handing out loans to Hungarian families, which will essentially become like they don't even have to pay it back after they just have 3 children. Um, and not just that, but also grandparents even being able to help raise their grandchildren as well. It's policies like that that I think that would be very beneficial in the United States, especially considering how such a policy like that works in a much poorer country like Hungary, but somehow we can't have it in the U.S. because whatever. So, I mean, again, the there the people in charge of our country are so obsessed with the status quo. You even see this, like, they attack the left wing progressives for wanting Medicare for all, or an increased minimum wage, and they just and like free college stuff like that. They don't want anything to change at all, nothing, and they just think, oh, let's just keep everything how it is because that's how it should be forever. Very weak mindset, and um, some people have that mindset even among actual voters, which is a scary thought. Not that many though. I do think that a lot of people on the left and right do realize that we're in serious trouble. We're not headed in the right direction. So here, the neoliberal media lost their mind. They say America's Christian nationalists play out their cynical fantasies in Orban's Hungary. That's a Jewish magazine, by the way. Haaretz. I don't know how you pronounce that. Um, what Tucker Carlson's trip to Hungary reveals about the state of our politics, what Trump conservatives are embracing Hungary's autocracy. Autocracy, pretty funny. I don't even think they know how to define autocracy. Tucker Carlson and the American right are taking the wrong lessons from Hungary. What wrong lessons? Unfortunately, I can't even read the article, so I don't know. So because of ads, by the way, you can see here I'm not able to read it. So this was just something from Fox News that they actually talked about what Tucker Carlson said at a speech he had in Hungary. Um, I think that speech is actually very important because I think specifically the end of it was amazing. It was actually very, very good. Towards the end, maybe the last 10, 15 minutes or so, it was very good. One of the points that he talked about that really got a lot of attention on Twitter was his mention of brutalist architecture and how the architecture in the United States is really just like it's brutalist and disgusting. Like it's not good compared to other countries, and I think that that's right. And a lot of people on Twitter are really obsessed with making that point. I'm not as obsessed with that, but I do think it is important that you do have I mean, if you want to live, you want your country to be great. Why we have like disgusting looking buildings and things that just look abhorrent and are not an accurate representation of what you want your country to be portrayed as. And I think that is an important point. And I think it would be good if we did, you know, support, not mod, but upgrade our not just our infrastructure, but also our architecture. Just upgrade everything about our country. That's really all I want. Because everything about the current state of our country is, I mean, it's terrible. Um, yeah, Tucker Carlson realizes this, and I think that's compared to like other people in mainstream media, he's more, I'd say, bold in what he actually talks about. I mean, when when Trump when Trump killed Soleimani at the beginning of 2020 last year, he was one of the few people that actually talked about it and spoke against it. Not just that, but also when Trump launched his missile strike against Syria, um, Tucker Carlson was the only person even talking about it in mainstream media. It's amazing. I don't even know how he's even allowed to talk about these things, but I think this is the real reason why the neoliberals are really freaking out about this is that Tucker Carlson, the people who it's not just Tucker Carlson, but the people who watch him, they're scared of what's going to happen because they know that you know Tucker Carlson is the most popular cable news host overall, overwhelmingly, really. He has a much larger audience than literally everyone else. Um, and it's not just that, but also just his ideas are, Tucker Carlson is definitely probably one of the most, he's probably the most powerful person on the American right today. Maybe with Trump as well. Not Trump is kind of debatable now because he's kind of weak right now, but that could change. But regardless, Tucker Carlson has remained, very powerful. Not even for a while now. It's been over a year since he really shot up last summer. With his coverage of the BLM riots and stuff like that, that really shot him up. And not just even before that too. Tucker Carlson is really kind of the voice of reason in, which is surprising. Of what he's literally a voice of reason in a room of idiots. And I think that's the real reason why they're freaking out. Um, that policy that Tucker Carlson mentioned in that segment I showed that he had, we were talking about it. That would just make our country fundamentally better, really. And we've seen a form of that in form of the child tax credits, which I 100% support. Um, and if you were to actually have something that's actually um, like cash assistance with families like that, I mean, that'd be amazing. And it would just benefit our country overall. Um, and the neoliberals are they're losing their minds about it, and not just and also kind of tying into Tucker Carlson's more nationwide influence. He supports JD Vance now, who I will actually be making a new video about the Ohio Senate race. That'll actually be my next video. Um, he supported Vance, and now, excuse me, Vance is going up in the polls significant. Excuse me again. Vance is going up significantly now in the polls, and I think he's probably at like 15% support now. If you were to have a poll right now for the Republican primary, there he's made significant ground, partially due to Tucker Carlson. So this is really the reason why they're so scared. So I'm going to get more to um, how Hungary actually is, because there's been a lot of propaganda about this. So you see here, this is in the European Parliament, and not just that, but also a bunch of other um, statistics. Just because I think it's called Fidesz or something. In Hungary, it's like by far the most powerful party there, and they basically maintained super majorities in the country, and they have a significant amount of support. I mean, like I'm not surprised, because if you look at the policies they're actually implementing, it's actually benefiting Hungarians, and not just the family policies, but also they're stopping immigration from coming into their country, while other countries in the European Union, such as Germany, France, Italy, and other countries, even people have talked about Poland. Even Poland has had some refugees, and they do have open immigration with Ukraine. A lot of Polish in the Polish agriculture industry, a lot of the workers are Ukrainians. But Hungary is like they're on a whole other level. They've stepped up above other European countries, and they've taken a good position and actually seeing how a national populist nation would actually operate. And I think that, I mean, overall, the current regime in Hungary is like, I think it's exactly what we need here in the U.S. Almost exactly, just obviously, some stuff should be different, but that's a whole other issue. But anyways, what I was talking about with Hungary's immigration is that while Germany has allowed hundreds of thousands of Muslims into their country, Hungary secured its border with Serbia, where there was massive amounts of illegal immigration coming in, and they cracked down and they solidified it. Meanwhile, in the U.S., we have on our southern border, it's a complete disaster. Scenes of desperation. Um, you have children who are basically there. You have many children who are left and separated due to the mass influx of illegals. Not even just from Mexico, not even Central America, but I was reading something about this. Even countries, even people from Africa coming in through our southern border, which is insane. Um, I mean, just the fact it's still happening as I speak right now. I mean, border crossings are up a significant amount, and really there is no end in sight. And basically, Biden has allocated is basically given control of the border, is basically given the problem with the border to Kamala Harris, and she's receiving a lot of criticism for that. And what is she even doing anyways? So Um, so, anyways, I think that Hungary is really, I think, just a model for the U.S. overall, and I think that if we did, implement these new policies here, marriage support, not just that, but also with the children as well. I have something here for your reduced cost for children. This is really good. So vaccinations against the following diseases were free and obligatory in Hungary. So they have tuberculosis, tetanus, um, a lot of stuff I can't pronounce. Measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis. Not even gonna try to pronounce that last one, but um, also chicken pox, meningitis, and rotavirus. Not just this, but children in the first 9 classes get free textbooks in school since 2017. Those children who are in higher classes but live in disadvantaged conditions, suffer from long-term illness, or get a child protection benefit, or live in a large family with 3 or more children are also entitled to free textbooks. However, the government plans to provide free textbooks for every pupils and students until the final exam. So this is, and also those children who live in disadvantaged conditions, suffer from long-term illness, and get child protection benefit, or live in a large family with 3 or more children, they get free or half-price meals in nurseries, kindergartens, and schools. Meanwhile, others get them on reduced prices. We have that like with um, reduced lunches in schools, but still we could do a lot more than Hungary's doing more in terms of welfare than us, in terms of actually providing for our people. And actually, this is one of the last points I want to make in this video, where you have a lot of people who see the word welfare and they're like, bad, 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 no, 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 we don't want welfare. So, like, look at the definition of welfare. What is the definition of welfare? The well-being of your. It's just well-being, general well-being. You want bad welfare or good welfare? I mean, who is seriously going to suggest, oh, I want bad welfare, I want the worst for everyone? Of course, no one is seriously going to suggest that unless, they're a terrible, evil person, which I don't think most people are. Um, Welfare is actually a very good thing for societies. I mean, every single, functional nation has some form of welfare. We have form of welfare in the United States, and you see fiscal conservatives losing their minds. They're saying, "Oh no, we need to spend more money bombing hospitals in Afghanistan. You don't understand. We need to give another jet fighter to Israel. You don't understand." Um, and it's like, no, you're wrong, and you just want forever war, and you don't care about the welfare of our citizens. You just want more war. You want to satisfy your uh, donors in the defense contract industry. And you just want a worse country for most people overall. You just care about yourself. Um, and where you live in a country where you have such selfish elites, which is what Tucker Carlson talks about a lot on his show, you're not going to have functional society. So, anyways, I think that, in conclusion, overall, I think that the national populist movement is gaining ground. You've seen a lot of people start to actually change their minds on economics and actually starting to realize that maybe the free market isn't what it really like. We don't really have a free market, and we don't really have a fair and balanced system. We don't have a meritocracy. It's really rigged in favor of the rich and wealthy. Sorry, the rich and the elites. Sorry, rich and wealth, whatever. Um, but anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you maybe have any questions or suggestions in the comments, you're free to leave it in the comments down below. I will provide a link to my Twitter if you want to follow me out there if you want. Also like and subscribe. Um, we've been I got a lot of views on the last video, so I hope this video does pretty well too. So also share this video with any people who might be concerned with this issue. And I hope you all have an excellent day, and I will see you all in the next video. For what?